right? That was the story for Tempo last week, Nova last season. This time around, it very much feels like Nova have already proven themselves. Tempo still yet to achieve that accolade.
Yeah, and Nova, while they have proven themselves, definitely they still need to prove that they are a team that can take the top standings. But TempoStorm, they're the ones that have a lot of work in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're still standing at 0 points so far this season. That's not a great place to be sitting at. Yeah. And they have to start winning those matches so that they can accumulate some points so that they can contend for that world spot.
They really do. It's going to be Lost Boy, Toff, Gatsby, and Hyde jumping onto the fold for us today. Obviously, God of Sins did play last week. We'll see whether that substitution is going to come into play once again or whether it is going to be the original roster. The Tempo not having a great performance so far this season, but there is still time for redemption.
Yeah, there is time, but you have to start now, especially with Rogue winning today, having an opportunity to maybe get to the finals and increase their lead on the second place standing, because that's all they care about right now is staying up to par with Cloud9. And honestly, you need to start picking up points now because the weeks are going to start running out.
All right, well, during this week, I actually had a word with Lost Boy Toff to see how they were feeling about the Vainglory8 so far, and he was talking to me about how important teamwork is to TempoStorm.
But I think like the things that we need to work on are probably just listening to each other more and just having that trust. We're always trying to, I'm always trying to let the team be aware of what's going on. And sometimes they're off doing their own thing or just like, I don't know, like if one of our teammates in jungle are telling us to rotate down, sometimes a laner just stays up there and we're kind of struggling, which makes it hard to protect our jungle.
Another conversation where it's all about that shot calling, all about that synergy between the team. That's kind of been a theme of today so far from when we've been talking to the players. But the team that they're going to be going up against is Nova Esports. Now, this is a slightly different Nova Esports to the one that we're used to seeing. Starboy didn't play last week, and he also tweeted during this week saying that he's probably not going to be playing for the next month or two. So Eco will be stepping into that captain role on a more permanent basis now. And I'm excited to see what he has to offer this week because he certainly stepped up last week.
Yeah, he played excellently last week, was a wonderful replacement for Starboy, was able to step into his shoes, even playing the same heroes and having the same level of performance. So definitely a lateral substitution for the side of Nova.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nico has been showing great. You know, you say we want to see how he's going to be stepping up. We've already seen how he stepped up, but they're not doing that great just yet. So they still need to find a groove with this new player. As in the captain role, they need to synergize better, work around one another better, and be able to take series off much better teams too.
Honestly, Nova feels like a perfect example of how stacked North America is right now because this is a great team. This is a team with great cohesion, great strategy coming in. But when you're against these top teams like Rogue, Tribe, TSM, and Cloud9, it's incredibly difficult to break through that glass ceiling. But Eco is going to be our player to watch coming on into this game. He's the one that I feel like a lot is resting on his shoulders, and to see whether or not he can keep up the performance he had last week and whether they can start to turn that into series victories.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to take the series against Team Solo Mid last week with Eco in there. They fell to Rogue, which, again, it's one of those situations where if that's not a terrible team to lose to, yeah. But if you want to get that world spot, it is a team you're going to have to beat in order to take it from them. So it's definitely do need to see Nova continue to improve and continue to exceed the expectations.
And to me, Nova, probably the weakest point is how predictable their draft is, because they play around Truth of the Light quite a bit with his Kestrel picks, with his Celeste picks, and they have to do that in order to win, just because of how their roster is shaped up and it's how it's designed around Truth of the Light. So going up against teams such as Rogue, TSM, and C9, they get punished for that. This time, though, they're playing against TempoStorm. Is TempoStorm going to be able to do the same thing? That's the real question.
That is going to be a big question coming on into this one. I want to talk a little bit more about the draft. Obviously, you've already mentioned Truth is going to be a huge focus for the side of Nova. What's the focus for TempoStorm, though? Because this is a team that we've been saying needs to prove themselves. What have been the flaws in their draft previously?
There's been quite a few, to be completely honest. Like their drafting game has not been ideal, and then their execution in game, like Lost by Tough was talking about, their synergy and their cohesion is just simply not there. And so there's a lot of things that they really need to work on. I think it starts with the in-game cohesion, because you can have a non-ideal draft and still find wins if you're performing well in-game. But you need to get that in-game worked out first.
Definitely. I mean, we've seen that example perfectly demonstrated by C9. So TempoStorm, actually, I want to talk about the Kestrel ban coming out of Nova, because that's really strange for me. Truth of Light is an incredible Kestrel player, so to ban it away from yourself is definitely not the most optimal choice that Nova could have went for. If Hyde was still playing on the TempoStorm roster, I would have understood that, because he was such an incredible CP jungle Kestrel player. But he's no longer playing on the roster. It's God of the Sins, or God of Sins, playing in that jungle role. So a little bit of a strange draft already.
Pretty quick draft, though, as we're already on to the second rotation of picks for Nova. They're going to grab Samuel to go along with the Grace. This is already a fairly strong composition. They have both Engage and Kite. They have a lot of healing, a lot of sustain, and now they can just get something for Truth, like the Idris, which is somehow still available this late in the draft. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just go ahead and pick this up.
I think they actually might go for a Vox here when... Truth of the Jewel pick. This is a new pick for him, because so far what I was going to say is when he hasn't gotten the Kestrel or the Celeste, he's went for Vox. And because they had already picked up a Samuel jungle, obviously they're not going to go for Celeste to play double CP. So I was expecting the Vox to come out. Instead, they're going to go for the Jewel. So Nova are trying to expand their hero pool, as we see many teams are trying to do that this weekend, just to show that they can do more and that they are stronger than what other teams could possibly be projecting them to be. The Jewel pick is going to serve such an incredible role in the early game to play aggressive in the lane and bully whoever is going to be opposing her, and also trying to get the first turret.
And this is also a great time for them to expand their hero pools and showcase a little bit more, because it's against a team that is considered one of the weaker teams in North America, and it's game one. So, you know, if it doesn't work out for them, if it's not quite up to their other heroes in their hero pools, you can still come back, you can still try and make a play. Ooh. But there's going to be another Reza. This is the second time God of Sins has gone to this hero.
Yeah, last time it didn't work out. It has to be said. It didn't work out at all. This time he's going up against Nova. He's confident to pick it again, though.
I also really don't like it in this situation. We just talked about how incredibly strong Jewel is going to be in the early game, combined with Samuel, who has a lot of objective damage and can rotate up to lane to try and siege that turret. TempoStorm are going to be under a lot of pressure, and Reza is not a hero that can fight off that early game pressure very well.
It has to be said, though, this is definitely a great dive composition. They have a huge amount of backline dive.
Yeah, as long as they can get to the point where the backline dive comes online, they're going to have to survive the early game, and that's going to be really tough, because if Jewel gets a lead, even just a small lead, she becomes an absolute terror on the fold.
All right, we'll see if she can get that lead into her hands. It's time to jump into our final matchup of the day. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter to let us know whether you're a fan of TempoStorm or Nova. It's time to kick off this last quarterfinal and pass it back to Jaws and Denominate.
Thanks, guys. Here we go. Final best of three of the evening. Nova versus TempoStorm. And what do I spy in the draft? It's a Reza coming out for Hyde.
Yeah, a Reza coming out for Hyde, but even more importantly, looking at Eco over here on this Grace has picked up the Dragon Blood contract. We already know how aggressive Grace can be in that early game, and with the Dragon Blood, they could be looking for all the more push here. They are uncontested going to take this Elder Treant, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if when Truth makes it into the lane here on this Samuel, I wouldn't be surprised if Eco looks to get some additional damage down, get some additional push down, and try to force Gatsby out of some of his farm early on. We saw the lane Samuel not work out too well earlier, but it's not into a pedal this time around, so I do have a little bit more faith coming into this game. I'm hoping some godly Reza plays come through out of Hyde here, though. Reza is very good at getting to those backline mages.
Yeah, it's actually insane. He's got a double dash in his Troublemaker if he stores the abilities up. Uh-oh, Eco in a little bit of trouble though. There's the Troublemaker. Speaking of, here comes the duel though. Holy Nova's really good actually separating the team. They're going to jump straight onto Gatsby though in the backline. Does pop the flask. In fact, flasks all around. Only two members that didn't use them were Truth and Hyde in that exchange.
Yeah, good call out there, Jaws, as obviously Truth and Hyde will both have that readily available to them when they need it. Hyde choosing to use it now, looking for Delphi, though.
And Delphi going very low. Eco backing off as well. Hyde didn't quite manage it. Did use his in the end as well. Almost stops the recall and possibly picked up a kill. Lone Delphi, quick enough though, does manage to get back to base.
Yeah, and we don't actually see a lot of jungle Jewel. And looking up here at the lane, it actually is Gatsby that's been forced back by Truth. A big minion wave here underneath this turret. Truth is getting a pretty sizable amount of damage down here in the early game, considering he only has 2 crystal bits. I mean, that's already almost a third of the turret there, Jaws. That is a huge advantage. He's not done!
When will he ever be done? Truth still going in really hard. Gatsby just narrowly avoiding death, although Lost Points Off was there as well. Hyde, my man, you haven't got a kill just yet, but you're going to need to start popping off because they mentioned it on the desk. There's a lot of turret taking capabilities coming out from Truth and Lone Delphi. They're going to have to come online fairly quickly. The only way to come online is have gold. The only way to get gold, Denominate, despite what anybody tells you, is getting kills.
Obviously, there's no other way to get gold in this game.
Absolutely not.
Of course there is. You clean up some minions, but more importantly, if you get those kills, you take away the enemy's minions and get even more gold in your pocket to stack on top of your first blood bounty. So overall, you know, Gatsby was able to heal up in the lane thanks to the Book of Eulogies, but also the Iron Guard contract picked up by Lost Boy Toph. He was able to clean out that big wave. He was able to not drop the Truth, but here we go. Hyde's going in.
Hyde's going in, does Troublemaker forward to get his positional advantage on Truth, but a little bit too far. Just didn't account for the healing coming out from Truth there. Does end up going down for first blood. Lone Delphi jumping over the wall. And that will be a nice chunk of change there for Truth.
Yeah, and Truth, you know, fortunately getting that first blood onto a carry means that Samuel will come online all the sooner. Truth not getting any damage down on this turret, though. And that's usually what we expect, you know, at least when we see Samuels really accelerate in a game. It's when they are in the lane, which Truth will always be at this point. When the minion wave is forced up and you know you're not going to get a kill, just turn your attention onto the turret. Get as much damage down as you can. Delphi does secure himself a Elder Treant there, or right before the bottoms there. And now Eco looking to engage here. Hyde, you're in a bad spot now that Delphi's coming.
Oh, rocket leap forwards though. Hyde does dash out the way using that Troublemaker. He's going to be alright for the moment. Goldminer did enter the fight as well, but he ends up just going back to doing what he does best.
Yeah, and getting this Jewel to level 8 where she's able to crit with those Thunder Strikes is going to be absolutely huge for the weapon Jewel. And then obviously getting Truth to level 8 as well for those Overdriven Malice and Verdicts, the additional damage that's able to be put out is going to be huge for their pushing capabilities. Whereas Reza, you know, he doesn't hit that level 6 spike quite as hard. He has that like level 2, level 3 aggressiveness, and then going into the late game when he gets that Nether Form Detonator, he can be a little bit tricky to find in a fight as well as provide a huge burst of damage. But he's also very squishy, and against a Jewel, squishy is not what you want to be.
Hyde on the back lines here, playing Secret Agent, jumps straight onto Truth. That's a massive sleep, actually sleeps Lost Points Off and Gatsby. Truth still running away, but Hyde does manage to cut him up in the end. Lone Delphi is now corralling Hyde into that brush, should just be able to finish him off. In fact, Eco is going to be able to secure the kill.
Yeah, and that's just what we need to see here. Tempo answering back with the kill of their own. You know, they were fortunately able to find Truth, but Eco able to find Hyde as well. So overall, you know, a 1-for-1 trade, but nobody really taking a huge advantage so far. We are 1,000 gold up for Nova. It hasn't been super convincing. These fights have been the side of Nova dropping very, very low, perhaps even a little bit of overextension from Truth at times. So we'll have to see that cleaning up. Truth is one of the strongest mechanical laners in my opinion, but you know, sometimes his positioning can cost him.
But it can, although that Oblivion was perfectly positioned, I'll tell you that. However, it obviously did go down in the end. Hyde has got a kill on the board, working towards what looks to be a Storm Crown for quicker clear. However, has reached that level 6. So Nether Form, the detonator, is available. If he does want to try to go for an engage with it, you can imagine just waiting for Lost Boy Toff's ultimate to come up, which will be up in the next minute or so, and then just jumping on into the back line, just trying to assassinate Truth as quick as possible.
Yeah, and I think if they can get a stun onto Truth and, you know, maybe even prevent Delphi from getting in safely before he gets a block, that's really going to be Hyde's best chance looking for a fight. But now he has to be very careful as Nova is rotating down. He will make it out in time, and his backs are available. So getting the gold up here on Reza, we are almost 7 minutes into the game without a tier 3. Looks like he could be working into either that Storm Crown or that Aftershock, but only time will tell, Jaws. I think they both have merit. I think obviously for the team-wide burst, you are going to want to go with that Aftershock first, though, as now Truth rotates down to get this ambient gold with Delphi, and that's going to help Truth get to that level 8, get to the gold peak that he needs as well to get the Broken Myth online, as he already has the Eve of Harvest and the Frostburn.
Alright, so there you go. It's going to be an Aftershock first item for Hyde, but 2 items on Truth. That spells bad news for TempoStorm right now. Lost Boy Toff has hit that level 6 mark, however, so looking for a big engagement here wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking for it, but Hyde, you know, again, this Reza needs to be aggressive onto the squishy mage, which is Truth on that backline. Last time he tried, it didn't necessarily work out the best for him, and now Eco is going in. Not quite going to be able to find it. Both of the troublemakers are still available for Hyde.
Yeah, that is very true. So is that Nether Form. Lost Boy Toff goes in. There we go. The Nether Form straight on the back line. Hyde just doing so much damage. Big Sleep's going to be good, though. TempoStorm having to use that fountain very, very early. And now Low Delphi's on top of Gatsby. Dive Comp getting dove underneath the turret. Big red button gets unleashed. Nova can't quite find a finish off the kills just yet. TempoStorm's health bars are flickering right now. They don't want to go for another engage just as soon. Truth coming up, though. Hyde may be in a little bit of trouble. Does actually have to use those boots in the end to get away. Lost Boy Toff taking an almost going down to those Madison verdicts.
Yeah, and Truth getting some more damage down on the turret is huge as well. Again, the Samuel needs to be pushing, but now Delphi is in a spot where he might be able to steal away some farm. He's going to. Hyde hasn't recalled yet, and he's so low. Jaws, I am not sure this is the right call from him.
Well, Nether Form detonates straight in, and yeah, it just gets executed. It was a bit of an odd decision, but then that will lead Nova to actually take down this turret as well. Tempo now, with a man disadvantage, just leave Nova free and open to take this wave, and possibly even a Crystal Sentry if they rotate down quick enough.
Yeah, and Truth is getting very close to that Broken Myth. He has 26, almost 2,700 gold in his pocket, as well as that crystal bit, so he's... Oh, yeah, alternating current. Okay, so this is something I have not seen on Samuel in a very, very long time. Going for that offensive attack-based build similar to a weapon carry. Once he gets that Broken Myth online, those basic attacks, every other one, will deal increased damage, scaling up through the fight. This is going to be interesting going forward.
Alrighty. I mean, I would have expected something else. I mean, alternating current, fair enough. You want to get those basic attacks going. I mean, Gatsby right now and Hyde just can't get on top of him. So sure, why not? I mean, right now, Truth has not really got any worries. And speaking of worries, Hyde should be a little bit worried as Eco does jump straight on top of him. Truth just pushing forward now. Now, Hyde has brought this out before, and the desk did mention they didn't do so hot with it. TempoStorm is their second time around with this Reza pick. Is it going to work out? Because right now, I'm looking at the scoreline. 1 and 3, only 49 CS to the 54. His team fights are not going in their favour. Lost Boy Toff takes about half his health in damage. Gauntlet comes out, however. Nether Form detonates onto the back line. Oblivion's going to come through. Doesn't quite sleep Hyde. In fact, I think it did actually saying that. Truth taking a lot of damage in the back line, but perfect kiting back. Gatsby is going to be the next target for Truth to take down. Holy Nova onto 2, but Gatsby's already dead. But Jewel is the backup damage and the backup carry they need. Hyde taking a large chunk out of Eco, and he will have to back off here with Lost Boy, as Lone Delphi is very low in saying that. Actually take that right back troublemaker and a Scorcher to finish off the kill. Rocket leap straight onto the back line. A 2-for-1 trade in favour of Tempo.
Yeah, Tempo has to feel good about that one. And, you know, we I think with the Death's touchdown, I believe it was actually their sub that played Reza last time around, so we'll have to see how Hyde's able to pull it out here. The team that did get away with the Reza pick, I believe, was Cloud9, to no surprise. And overall, I think Reza's in a very interesting spot as far as the actual game goes, but I have to just lean on the damage and crowd control potential coming out of the side of Nova this game. As soon as that Nether Form detonator comes out, in that last fight, we saw Delphi jump right on top. We saw Eco get that Holy Nova ready to go. Duel's just not at the point that she has the damage yet, as well as Truth not having the Broken Myth. I believe played a huge part of that. I don't think the Alternating Current was the best purchase, but we'll have to see going through when he gets that Broken Myth online if the Alternating Current ramps up the damage the way he's hoping it does.
Yeah, like I said, you haven't seen it in a long time. I'm not sure I've casted a game, to be honest with you, with a Samuel holding an alternating current, but at the moment it's working out for him, taking this gold miner release. Lost Boy 12 is going to get a flare over the wall, and is going to get it's going to spot it doing. So it's going to spot Nova doing it even. Sorry. 400 gold apiece now for Nova, and already inching ahead in terms of gold lead as well, staying at a nice 4,000, so they're going to want to keep scaling that one up. But like you mentioned not a moment ago, the amount of CC and crowd control Nova do have is quite stupendous, and is going to lead TempoStorm to maybe think about their engages a little bit more, because they've only really got that gauntlet to their name.
Yeah, and that gauntlet has to land. I mean, we have to get a stun up on Truth where Gaspy and Hyde are then allowed to get onto that backline, allowed to get that burst damage out of Hyde and that sustainable damage out of Gaspy, and that's really going to be their best chance at winning here, because as Jewel gets later and later into this game, those Thunder Strikes are going to start to hit like an absolute truck, and that's really what Delphi needs to do. Is both Hyde and Gaspy are overall squishy targets, but here we go. Nova looking to get some good damage down here.
Lost Boy 12, by the way, has picked up the Echo, so double Gauntlet is a possibility for Tempo now. They've doubled their CC potential, mind you. But Nova, they are very, very good at taking turrets, and that's exactly what they're looking to do. Gaspy, oh, that poke potential from those Thunder Strikes doing a little bit too much work there, you could say. Hyde on the sidelines, Gauntlet is going to come down. They're going to unleash it, but they're still going to need to get onto Truth. There's Oblivion Shroud off of himself, but a massive Gauntlet actually saves them. Hyde's going to be able to pick up one kill, Holy Nova onto 3 members. Crystal Sentry joins the fray, and now Eco, last member alive. Hyde did use that detonator already, and that'll be Gaspy chasing them down. They got a lot of chase potential. Tempo found the ace.
Yeah, Tempo finds the ace, and Hyde is looking to find some additional jungle here as well. That last fight was absolutely huge, as Toph, with the Echo Gauntlet, was able to lock Truth in such a terrible spot. We'll get into the replay right here. So as we see, Truth takes a little bit of poke from Gaspy. Nothing major, nothing his Corrupt Genius won't hold him down. Gauntlet traps him in one place. Second Gauntlet comes through, stuns him up, and Gaspy and Hyde just go to town. And then it is Toph that drops, but they obviously find an extra kill there onto Lone Delphi. They chase down Eco, they get the kill, and they get a first turret as well. So overall, Tempo's got to feel pretty good about that one as they take the kill lead, and now they're spotting out a gold mine starting up here.
Yeah, that gold miner is going to go down very quickly if Nova have their way, but TempoStorm willing to be able to stop it and willing to be able to fight now. Broken Myth finish for Hyde, so these long-engated team fights are going to be working out for him. Again, oh, okay, Lost Boy 12 just died, and Gaspy died too. Where did they disappear to? Hyde's going to fall as well if he's not careful. Rocket Leap and the Thunder Strike almost finish him off. Nova, I blinked for a second there, and they were already dead.
Yeah, that was incredibly quick, and they made short work. Truth does have that Broken Myth online now, so that is absolutely huge for them. They're going to get a turret, as well as they're going to get this Kraken. So overall, Nova in a beautiful spot off the back of a bad team fight. So overall, I have to really give a ton of credit to Nova for not getting too tilted off the back of that one, because Toph is a legend when it comes to Vainglory in this captain position. He's been making plays for the Tempo team all game long, and Nova answers right back with an ace of their own. And there was no Kraken for Tempo, so I'm gonna have to say the fight for Nova just worked out so much better.
That it did, with that map-wide advantage now for them. And they've only got that base turret to defeat. And they've only got to defeat those 2 crystal turrets as well. That's what stands in their way of taking game number 1. A much quicker and a little bit more decisive game than we had in the last series.
A lot of damage being put down on this turret, this Jewel, and Samuel making short work of it. Now Tempo in an interesting spot, a Gauntlet stun, but nothing to follow up. I'm not sure if that's really the right call from Tempo there. Jewel's back was turned, that's where she's the most vulnerable, and now here comes Nova to continue the pain.
Big red button, that's a lot of damage on Gatsby and Hyde already. Those thunder strikes onto 2 people. A big heal comes through as well. Truth comes up massive, and Gatsby all alone running away. Those thunder strikes not quite hitting, but Lone Delphi's just going to chase him off. Remember that Kraken is still knocking away. Lost Boy Toff just dies in his own base. Nova, they're going to end this pre-20 minutes here, Denominate. They've done it. 17 minutes on the clock. Nova, take game number 1.
Nova, with absolutely no surprise to me at least, they took down TSM 2-0 last week. TSM, the Titans, and now they came into TempoStorm today, who is sitting down at the bottom. And TempoStorm did put up a good fight. They weren't able to get all they wanted, but I'm just a little iffy on the Reza pick as well as the build path that went down. It just took too long to get to a point that he was damaging, and that was Nova's game.
A bit interesting builds across the board with the alternating current on Truth as well. But to break down that very short game, and that's a third Reza pick, we're going to have the analysts on the desk.
I mean, 17 minutes isn't actually that short of a game, but off the back of that last series, it feels like the quickest game you've ever seen. The Jewel coming out in the end and going into the jungle in Lone Delphi's hands instead of going into that lane. Not 100% what we were expecting, but it definitely worked out for the likes of Nova.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a little bit of a surprise to us. We thought it was going to be God of Sins in the jungle for Tempo. It ended up being Hyde, so now that Kestrel ban makes a little bit more sense as well, but still coming out with the Reza pick. And unlike Denominator, I actually like the build path. I think that is the best build path you can go with the Reza, but he was just put so far behind early on. And you look at the CS differences, it was a massive deficit that he was behind. And so that's why I felt like it wasn't able to come online quickly enough. It wasn't an issue with the build, it was just the fact that they had gotten so far behind.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about it at the beginning of the day when we said, is Reza a meta pick, or is he a pick that you just want to pick or like you go for conditionally? And it definitely is a pick where you have to get it in the right situation, and this one was not the right situation. You don't want to pick it against the composition that's going to pressure you and play aggressive against your early game, because then you don't have anything to fight back with.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at an ace that TempoStorm managed to get. 13 minutes into this game, they managed to get some good things going for themselves. It was definitely a close game, but Nova obviously come back later on.
Yeah, this was a great opportunity for TempoStorm to really try and swing this game. They were able to find that kill onto Truth right off the bat. And then once Lone Delphi goes down, like it looks so good for them. Hyde, you feel like this is where Reza's going to start making his mark. He has that aftershock, has a lot of burst on this dive comp, but then they just weren't able to find opportunities to make those dives work. And again, it goes back to what you're playing the Reza into. Like that isn't a team composition that you're going to be looking to dive onto. And so it didn't really synergize well with how everything else was going in the game.
Absolutely. And then just a minute later, we saw Nova being the ones grabbing an ace for themselves and kind of flipping everything onto its head.
And then this time, Nova are actually pretty far ahead, just 3K, 40 minutes into the game. They're trying to pressure, they're trying to close out the game at this point because they have an advantage. Their comp does get outscaled late game, so they needed to make sure to not throw the lead, and they played it very well. Jewel is extremely strong at this point just because she has the Sword Blade and the Monocle, the Infusion on top of it. And we have to talk about that Samuel with the AC. It's a pick that obviously we've never seen before, especially with the AC in the lane, at least not recently, not from Truth of Light either. But he was the first player to play Pedal Weapon Power in LA during the Unified Championships, so he could be onto something here.
Yeah, maybe he's just like a future-seeing prodigy. We'll have to wait and see. But let's take a look at the final fight of that game, as well as Nova managed to go get the Kraken for themselves off the back of the last ace and then push things home.
Yeah, it's just very difficult for Tempo to defend this because they do have this dive composition. And again, the decision making, they go out, they get this great gauntlet that stuns up the Jewel facing away from them, and they back off and go for the Kraken. At least they did it all as a team. And in earlier team fights, there were situations where like Hyde didn't go in as the Reza until the rest of the team was pretty much already dead. So again, just the cohesion on the side of TempoStorm is clearly still lacking in their gameplay, and it's definitely getting better, but it's just not quite at the level it needs to be if you want to be making a push for the top of the standings.
Yeah, still some work to do, but the series isn't over just yet. Hopefully they've learned from some mistakes. Let's start to talk about the draft coming into this next one. Honestly, it's a difficult conversation to have because we had Elaine Samuel, we had Jungle Reza coming in. This is not a normal set of drafts that we've been seeing here.
I mean, it definitely seems like Nova is trying to experiment more and try new things to widen their hero pools, like you said earlier, Tasty Bacon. And because they're going up against TempoStorm, it's the perfect opportunity to do it. So I expect similar things if they don't go for the Celeste or the Kestrel in the lane. Is going to be more trying out new things, trying to see what else works for them specifically so that they can carry it on and play it against better teams.
Yeah, okay. We'll see whether they do continue to experiment. And, you know, TempoStorm as well. I want to talk a little bit about this Reza pick because this is the second jungler now. This is not just a single player pick. This is a team pick that they like this in the jungle. What is the logic? Because we mentioned earlier this is a pick that fits into certain situations. What is the situation that he'll actually fit a composition?
When your opponent has a carry that you need to dive and take out very quickly. So when your opponent has something like a Celeste, like an Idris, or anything along those lines, and you have a composition that can pair with that dive type style, you know, you have to have something like a Lance, or Arden can work with it, a Grace, and then your other carry needs to be someone else that can provide damage onto the back line. So it's just a matter of it's literally just a dive-focused composition is all you need.
All right, well, Petal going to be the last band coming on through here as we're rattling through this draft. Grace and Lance going to be the first picks, and then Nova now deciding which direction they want to go with this one.
Celeste and Kestrel are already off the table, so Truth of Light is going to have to play something that he's not the most confident on, and I don't think he has a problem with that just because Samuel Lane just worked for them, so what's not going to work? The Kestrel ban makes more sense, again, just because we now know Hyde is playing for TempoStorm. Kestrel CP in the jungle, even though it's not popular this update, it's one of his strongest picks still. And then Cruel coming out for Nova, that's going to be on Lone Delphi, so a lot of aggression you can expect.
I'm really happy to see TempoStorm go for this glaive. When they first came up, when Hyde first broke onto the scene, it was the CP Kestrel and the utility glaive that he was the most well known for. So his glaive is still very strong, even though it's not likely to be that utility style glaive. It is still a pick that he is very comfortable on. Assuming it does go into the jungle, they could still put that up in the lane, but I think just because of Hyde's limited hero pool, something that he has been known for quite some time, it makes sense to put it in the jungle. And now they get the Idris. This was what was one of the strongest comps at the start of this season, was Grace, Idris, and then some sort of bruiser in the jungle to go along with it. So I like the start for this draft, but Nova, they're going to stick to their guns with this Jewel coming out. This time you have to assume it's going to be in Truth Sands.
I mean, you do have to assume that, but it is Truth of Light, and if he does get the Cruel lane, I actually expect him to do very well. A funny sentence to say, but the Idris CP coming out for Gatsby, it's actually one of his better picks too, one of his better heroes, so I expect him to do very well, especially if they get to scale. It's a very scary comp on the side of TempoStorm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious whether you guys think that this is going to be a weapon duel. Obviously, CP duel is a thing that happens alongside a Cruel. Could that be something that comes out of the back here?
Because it's Nova, it absolutely could, but I would not want to see it be a CP duel. I think the weapon duel, along with the Kroll, it's kind of like that bruiser that goes tension bow into a poison shiv, I think would be a lot more effective.
Yeah, right. I agree.
We'll see if that's going to be the case coming on into this one. It's time to jump into game number 2 of this series. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know who you're supporting. But without further ado, let's pass it back to our casters. It's Jaws and Denominate to take us into game 2.
Thank you very much, guys. Once again, TempoStorm versus Nova. We're in game number 2. TempoStorm with one game down at the moment, and with that odd, well, I wouldn't say odd Reza pick. It just didn't work out the way they must have hoped here. But with that said, Truth, he's on this duel. Is he going to go Crystal Power? More often than not, Weapon Power, you can imagine. But just to spite Tasty, maybe he should.
I was thinking the same thing. I just want Tasty to be wrong at this point. I think the Crystal Jewel is totally viable. I think it's a little bit easier to run the Weapon Jewel, obviously. Gatsby, though, got to look at this Crystal Idris potential pick here. I don't see them going double weapon, and we know how strong that Crystal Idris can be, especially going into the late game. Those basic attacks scaling up with Broken Myth, but that Triac gets stolen away by Eco.
Too bad on the side of Tempo, as Truth's making his way here as well. Hyde's going to be very careful. He has got Afterburn, so he should be okay. Oh, he does. No, sorry, he doesn't have Afterburn. Didn't actually start that, so had to be even more careful. Nova, they are going to be able to get their backs off Eco. Oh, Eco didn't time your back very, very well. Gaspy and Hyde might just have a tree on their hands.
Yeah, they definitely might. It is not looking good for Eco here, but he is wasting a lot of time of Gaspy and Hyde. Meanwhile, Truth and Delphi are getting ambient gold here in the jungle, and now it's even Lost Boy Toph fighting his way over Tempo. You almost just have to let him go at some point.
Eco has survived for so long. He even chugged his flask here. He's actually not dead. Gaspy's still going to have to run him down. Chakram finally finishes off the kill. The first blood does go over to Tempo. But if you look at the gold, how much Nova did acquire in that time, it's just evened it up completely.
Yeah,
Afterburn though, hang on a second here. We're not entirely finished. Lone Delphi is going to get Afterburn away. Truth though is going to be able to bat away that scary cat.
And Truth, has gone into a crystal bit. So Tasty Bacon, start eating your words, man.
Oh my goodness, Hyde in a lot of trouble. Smite doesn't quite finish him off, but yep, maybe Tasty was wrong. And he did say, if there was a team to do it, you know what? Nova might just be that guy and be those guys.
Yeah, no, we love Bacon, and obviously this is going to come down to if those big red buttons can land. And with the amount of crowd control that comes out on their team, it should be pretty easy to Toph. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Eco's just going to be able to prod him down, you can imagine. That might just be a free kill. It is. Nova's actually just going to pick up one kill on the back lines. Lost Boy Toph stayed a little bit too long, got a little lost.
And Delphi still invading the enemy's jungle here, doing a great job taking away these treants. They hold the most experience, so even if you're not getting all the gold, getting a level advantage can be absolutely huge. And Hyde might actually be in a rough spot here. Here comes Delphi.
He's in a lot of trouble as well. Truth is hammering home those thunder strikes. Doesn't quite find him. A couple of fights across the map.
That was actually Hyde that secured that Elder Treant down in the jungle, so that will be a good start there for Tempo off the back of some unfortunate circumstances. And now Tempo, Gaspy missing out on a couple CS here. Hopefully we'll be able to clean that up, as we want to see this Idris get online and be able to get to the divergent paths, get those increased range attacks. That's really the safest position for Gaspy to be in, is once he has that additional range, he can be a little bit safer. He's not as vulnerable to those thunder strikes, as he doesn't have to come right into Truth's face to farm. And now sharing some ambient here in the back, it will be trying to get Gaspy online. He's still quite a ways away. He has to complete that tier 3 item. A long way away from Shatterglass, though. It'd be interesting to see if he goes Frostburn just to get his build online.
Well, Lone Delphi has been repositioned from that Afterburn, but the rest of his squad are just going to be able to back him up in the jungle. Lone Delphi does have that tension bow online. Very, very cheap item to pick up, and they're going to rotate towards the shop here. So actually a tension bow for Hyde as well. So just about the same timings-ish and or thereabouts.
Yeah, Gaspy cleaning up this wave here will likely take an opportunity to rotate down and see if there's any ambient gold, or maybe even go shop again. Might even commit to that Frostburn. A little bit weaker of an item, but just to get those ranged attacks online would be absolutely massive for him. A lot of time wasted though. The backs are up for Hyde, so Gaspy now running all the way back down to the jungle. If Nova spots that rotation out, they might be able to push this wave up and actually cause Gaspy to miss out before coming down to get the ambience.
Might just do that. Lone Delphi's actually stealing away the Elder, well, not the Elder, sorry, just the Treant there as well. Level 6 on him. Hyde is going to be able to reposition him, but straight into Eco, in fact. So just gave his friendly team player a hug. And will be Truth now pushing forward for Gaspy and Lost Boy Toph. So he did lose a little bit of gold there, but not as much as he'd have hoped.
Yeah, I mean, but he's down at 36 CS here at almost 6 minutes. And, we really... Oh, hold on here.
Ooh, big red button. Oh, Eco pushed everybody out of the big red button. It doesn't matter, though, because he is just going to go down anyway. Hyde falls. Gaspy very low, ends up going down as well. Lost Boy Toph getting chased by Lone Delphi here from Hell's Heart. Did end up landing Eco with the zoning. The zoning A, it's all good. Impale, zoning impale. That's what I tell myself every single time I miss one. Truth just pushing onwards now. There's 2 kills there for Nova. Lost Boy Toff getting the Holy Nova off, but it is just gonna be that turret for Nova.
Yeah, I mean, a turret here is going to be huge for them. One more attack should get it, but now, oh no, Eco's in a bad spot.
Oh, Eco, wrong place, wrong time. They do end up trading that one at least. Gatsby is now in those divergent paths. Shatterglass finished, by the way, for him, so he's going to be start hitting a little bit harder now.
Yeah, definitely a good spot. He also has those ranged attacks online, and again, the Crystal Idris gets damage on his basic attacks. Here we go,
Oh, Truth, Rocket Leap, got too excited. Got too excited. We've always got to remember they've got an escape.
I was hoping. I had hopes.
There's always that one time when they don't, and you're like, oh, they're dead. Oh, okay.
Right.
GG, well played.
Yep, so now it is a sizable level advantage for Delphi here in the jungle. We talked about it earlier. Him stealing away those treants is absolutely huge for keeping Hyde down. Hyde has just now hit level 6, and Delphi is working into level 8 at this point. So that is going to be effective in these fights going forward. Truth has 2 tier 3s online, the Shatterglass and the Clockwork ready to go. More big red buttons, more damage, as obviously that 30% additional crystal power will come through from the Shatterglass and the Clockwork combination. And Gatsby struggling to get into his second item. He's still a long way away from that alternating current, actually. Still another 1,000 gold or so.
Gold miner is going to get taken by Nova here as well. There we go. Now Hyde is starting to kind of come online now. He's got that tension bow and he's starting to make plays happen. It's the issue I can see here is the fact that Nova can just get on one person and just stick to them. And that person will obviously be Gatsby. Is there going to be enough peel here? When Lost Boy Toff does get that echo, he will have that double divine intervention. With being level 6 now, he's only got the 1 to his name. But Eco, I mean, on this Lance, we've seen what Lance and how devastating he can be to even someone like a Catherine. But to a Idris, who wants to stay nice and mobile, it's going to be even worse. Speaking about being mobile, Hyde's already dead.
Yeah, Hyde dropping very, very quickly.
Crystal Sentry.
Cleans up that kill. They clean up a sentry as well, and now Nova's not done with the aggression. Oh, big red button wasted though, and EU Triad coming through on Delphi.
It was too big. Did it get taken? It didn't. It's actually going to get taken by Delphi, so not quite an EU Triad there. If it got stolen, that would have been even worse. Big red button, zoning big red button. I'll have you know.
That's what we're going to go with today. All the missed abilities are zoning.
Zoning abilities.
Working into that broken myth now on this Jewel. Obviously going to be bringing a lot of pain to the table as the fights go on. But Tempo is here looking to get some damage on the turret. Hyde, you should just be focusing with your team at this point.
Hyde, where you going, buddy? He's trying to find someone with the afterburn. All right. You literally just left his team. Okay. Fair play. I mean, didn't want to mess with Eco at all, but Gatsby does end up taking the turret, however. So Tempo didn't want to take the fight, but they take the objective nonetheless.
Yeah, and Hyde actually makes it out alive as well, so a little bit of a light in a dark tunnel for the side of Tempo as they got to look to come here online. Now, there is some benefit to the composition that Tempo has put together here. Obviously, we have the Holy Nova that can stun Jewel out of that big red button, as well as the Afterburn is a very quick tool to use. But now it is just going to be Hyde realizing Nova is still in the jungle here. Another Crystal Sentry dropping, and oh my, even Truth stealing away that treant from under Hyde.
This is a big bunch of feels bad, man, for Tempo. Wow, double him. Oh, Gatsby. Oh man, that big red button. As soon as it's pressed, you know you're dead. Gatsby ends up falling again. Eco with a beautiful impale for the setup.
Yeah, and now it is just going to be Nova turning their attention onto this gold mine. Hyde doing the best he can to make it into the enemy's jungle, try to get some farm back in his side. He's sitting at 25 to 42. So actually even having to use all stacks of his ultimate there to clear out the wave fast enough. He's now going to recall, but Nova's in an incredibly good spot going into this game, even with the Crystal Jewel, even when Truth misses a Thunderstrike onto helpless minions. They're still feeling like they're in a really good spot going forward. I mean, look at that wave clear coming out of Truth.
Using Rocket Leap to wave clear. Next level strats. He needed to get there anyway, it's all good. Truth is 4-0, by the way, if anybody else hasn't been paying attention. He is extremely fed. He is one-shotting people right now. Crystal Sentries are going to get fought over. Hyde actually jumps straight in, Rocket Leap away. Big red button is available. It gets unleashed. Hyde just melts under it. They actually trade 1-for-1 as Gatsby does manage to take out Lone Delphi. In the meantime, Eco is there with Truth. The Lost Boy soft gets Githy and Ward impaled. Truth, are you going to react? There we go. He finally Thunderstrikes him. Just waiting for Gatsby to step up. Gatsby just takes a Thunderstrike to the face. Truth very low. Shimmer Strike in. And Gatsby actually takes the kill straight from under his mouth. What was that damage, by the way?
That is a Crystal Idris there, Jaws. It does a massive amount of damage, especially if we looked in that last fight. Truth turned away from Gatsby as that Chakram came out, and when Jewel takes damage from behind, it is a larger chunk of damage because of her heavy plating perk. She has additional armor and shield from the front and the sides, and very minimal amount from behind. So we saw that Chakram just come through and delete his health, the Shimmer Strike coming through to finish him off with a basic attack to follow it up. And just like that, there's some signs of life coming out of Tempo. Gatsby now with the Broken Myth online. This is where Idris really starts to take off. Again, those basic attacks ramp up Broken Myth. They do crystal damage. So over the course of a fight, he's going to build up damage very similarly to a hero that has a breaking point going the weapon route.
Oh man, Truth is still very scary though, you have to admit that. That gold miner will get taken again, and again, stretching that gold lead even further. We're about 5,000 in the lead now for Nova. Now Nova have proven time and time again that they can take games off of top tier teams. They've taken games off Rogue. They beat TSM 2-0 as well, the Titans of North America. Now, they're looking extremely scary against TempoStorm, faltering a little bit, but still holding their ground and not giving up any more than they have to, being in TempoStorm's jungle more often than not this game.
Yeah, and TSM really hasn't looked like the Titans. It's really been Cloud9 that's been the ones that are looking pretty unbeatable at this point in time. I do want to make note, though, Truth has the double Shatterglass complete and is working into a 5th offensive item, Jaws. Truth is going true glass cannon here.
Oh, yes, he is. He gets repositioned and repositioned himself for the Rocket Leap as well. Hyde is going to have to... He's got his work cut out for the moment. Big red button is going to get pressed, but Eco's actually going down very low. Truth over the wall. He's doing a lot of damage to those Thunderstrikes now. Hyde dashes forward. Thunderstrike. Half your HP disappears.
Yeah, but Eco is in a very dangerous position, as well as Truth if he gets caught out here. There is a lot of burst that comes out of Tempo. Fountain is available and ready to go from Eco, but a Scout Trap is chunking Truth down. No defense on this Jewel. This is an opportunity now for Tempo to really have their way with whatever they want, as long as they group up together, and here comes Gatsby.
Here comes Gatsby, opened up with that big red button. Divine Intervention is going to heal him up, but only 500 damage. That's only half his HP bar healed. However, Truth, you ask him what's the scariest thing on the map right now, he will tell you Scout Trap damage. Because that took about a third of his HP, it felt like.
It took a pretty sizable chunk there, Jaws. And again, no defense and no additional health on this Jewel's health pool, as we are still on the Tier 1 boots. Now, as he goes into the Tier 3 boots, he will get some additional health, but there's still no block. So if he gets stunned out of his big red button, that is the best opportunity for the side of Tempo to turn a fight around very, very quickly, as Gatsby is working into that 4th offensive item, but it is looking to be just another free gold mine going over to the side of Nova with a 6,000 gold lead at this point in the game. It's, well, 5,000, a little over 5,000.
Looking all too good. Nova now still... They're just not refusing to fight, but they know they've got the damage to win these straight up 3-on-3s. It's going to take a miracle from Hyde really to get on top of Truth at this point. Has to pick up a Spellblade as well. Now Truth, from Hellstar. Hang on a second, spoke too soon. Yeah, Gatsby's dead. There was absolutely no way he was surviving a double Shatterglass Broken Myth Clockwork build from Truth. And that'll be the turret you can imagine going down as well. Hyde is he's in a one-man army right now, but he can't withstand the might that is Nova.
And 630 damage Thunderstrikes coming out of Truth here. And, he's still got to be super careful. He's very squishy on this Jewel. And as Gatsby completes that 4th offensive item, oh, here we go!
Oh my goodness. Divine Intervention is going to heal him up though. He might just be safe to live another day. Lone Delphi chasing him through. Gatsby dashing forwards. He is in these fights now, but like you said, Truth is hitting, and he's hitting hard. 600 damage. Thunderstrike, sorry, right now.
Yeah, and Truth, despite being very squishy, is also, he's landing a majority of his Thunder Strikes. He's timing the big red buttons with the stuns out of Delphi and Eco very, very well.
Oh, Gatsby's being caught. Big red button doesn't end up hitting though. Truth actually dashing away completely, taking the tree in for himself as Eco almost falls. Lone Delphi's on the retreat as well. Hides around the corner. Isn't going to be able to get too much unless he's being a little bit risky. That's triple Shatterglass, by the way, from Truth.
Yeah, triple Shatterglass, and of course, just as I mentioned that Truth has been on point with lining everything up, he whiffs a big red button and Gatsby gets out A-okay. So, overall, we still have a pretty sizable gold lead for the side of Nova, but now that Gatsby, is, he has his boots upgraded, he has a little bit of additional health, he has a block available to him.
Oh, fancy footwork. There we go. You know what they say about Truth? The truth hurts.
The truth does not hurt when the big red button misses.
True.
So, Gatsby, gonna use the shroud stuff there to get out safely. And that's, again, this is one reason that Idris is able to go so offensive and still be able to survive these fights and, almost indefinitely, is he has a lot of movement in his kit, as well as can obviously avoid, incoming stuns, incoming damage by using that Shimmer Strike. Now, the downside is, a mistimed Shimmer Strike can also cost you a Fountain or a Divine Intervention, but I think that is just going to be Nova capturing this Kraken scot-free. Nothing that Tempo can do about it.
Free Kraken. Benediction in. Impale miss. Nova take a free Kraken straight under the noses of TempoStorm. Truth now, you can see him lining up ever so slightly. You can see the game plan from Eco. Wants to go in, has to spot those wall treads, and in fact the Crucible as well, as he wanted to get out there. ASAP, double big red button kill. Hello, you line him up, you knock him down. Truth, is he going to find the triple? Shimmer Strike away. Lone Delphi takes the last pick at him. Nova find the ace, and they've still got Kraken to march on the base.
Yeah, and these death timers are pretty low, but I don't know if they're I almost don't know if Tempo can really stop this at this point. I mean, Truth is just destroying turrets. They will be up, but Big Red Button is available, so I think if Truth can land a stun, they might even just be able to close out the game here. They are splitting the damage on the turrets, but obviously Hyde, Toph, and Gatsby coming up at this point. This is dangerous for Nova, or it could be a high reward scenario.
Oh, high risk, high reward. You know what they say. Truth is going to wait. The turret has been destroyed. Lone Delphi is very low. Takes a chakram. Dodges out of the second portion of it, though. Hyde is going to reposition Truth. Rocket Leap just available now. Not quite enough to actually press the button. Kraken, though, got that crystal down to about half HP. No turrets now stand between Nova and making it to day 2.
Yeah, it's looking incredibly good for Nova fans out there. Delphi's dad probably at home watching, cheering his boy on. And, overall, I don't feel like Tempo is in a point they can win this game. Unfortunately, there's just not enough focused damage coming out of them, and the damage coming out of Truth, they're not even really damaging Truth in most of the fights. It's just Truth being, kind of that midline, land those Thunder Strikes, chunking the enemy out. And Delphi and Eco are doing a great job of keeping Hyde and Gatsby off of him, and that's what's allowing him to go this super aggressive build. Halcyon Charger's complete for his last item, level 12 infusion ready to go. He has additional cooldown and energy regeneration, as well as a long burst of speed from that Halcyon Charger's proc. It does get the longest movement speed buff out of the boots. So I think this is probably just Nova taking the next fight, honestly. I mean, Tempo has to find clean damage onto Truth if they want to win this one.
Not half wrong. Big red button. If Eco lands an Impale, all he does. Truth doesn't quite find it just yet. Didn't want to press it. Although Lone Delphi is chunking up a nice portion of damage as well. We cannot forget about him in the back lines. He has got From Hell's Heart, does get used. Oswaldtov's going to be the target, still trying to find Truth. Truth missing a Thunderstrike, this could be critical. Big Red Button opened up, Hyde almost falls, but they've already lost Eco. 1v3 now, Truth does a lot of damage. That's going to be Lone Delphi repositioned to the middle of the fight. Truth has to do something. He just watches his teammates fall around him, and now he's in a 1v3 situation with Kraken on the board.
And Truth makes it out pretty much untouched in that fight, but because he played so far back, he also didn't find a whole lot of damage other than Hyde actually walking into the big red button. But thanks to the divine intervention from Lost Boy Toph, he is in a healthy situation. And Truth with the big red button up might even look to try to steal away a Kraken here. It's taking Tempo quite a while to clean it up, and here comes Truth.
Big red button still. I'm ready for it. Low Delphi's going very low. Truth, they know it's a possibility at this point. Big red button is there. Doesn't quite find it. Has to use that rocket lead to get away.
And that's going to be a Kraken going over to TempoStorm now. Truth just a hair off on that big red button activation, and now he's actually already hurt to start off this next fight unless if he goes ahead and takes an opportunity to recall, as I don't think a treant there would be enough to top him off. So overall full build for Truth. He has a Infusion renewed, looking for one last fight. If they find a kill onto Gatsby, they can just end the game.
Like I said, no turrets stand between their way now. Truth, he does a lot of damage to this Kraken if he can get close to it. Big red button opens up, Hyde going very low. Lone Delphi's actually chasing him. Wartreads is going to get popped. Gatsby on the sidelines, and now they're starting to reconvene. Truth hasn't got a big red button for another 10 seconds. So that turret will end up falling.
Turret is down, and TempoStorm can chunk away at another turret with these chakrams coming out of Gatsby. They actually almost like him to focus the turret at this point, just to get your team some additional gold, just to get you closer to some actual Aegis action. And another big red button whiffing out of Truth. That is not the position you want to be in if you're Nova.
Hyde is going to find Lone Delphi, but Lost Boy Toph going very low. Eco almost finding the kill on him straight up. Hyde's going to dash in, but Truth still trying to deal with his Kraken. It ends up going down. He has Rocket Leap. He has a Thunderstrike available. Does he go for the risky play? Eco goes in for the Impale, does miss, and gets killed and punished for it. Nova lose one, but Hyde almost falls as well. Divine Intervention is going to be there to heal him up. Lost Boy Toph, Lone Delphi even is going to dive straight in. Holy Nova, is it going to matter? Because he's already dead.
Yeah, and TempoStorm has really come into their own, and this is really the power of that Crystal Idris. Again, able to ramp up the damage on your basic attacks, even going the Crystal route. And it's not just his regular basic attacks that ramp up that Broken Myth damage. Every other attack has that additional proc coming out of that alternating current that also ramps up with Broken Myth. So even if he's attacking Eco, he's increasing his damage output towards the entire enemy team, and we see how much defense Delphi is prioritizing at this point. He has the Aegis, he has a Shiver Steel and Wartreads, as well as working into possibly another Fountain Up, and just as I say that, he sells the shield. So we'll have to see what he fills that void with. It looks like maybe going into some piercing is what I would assume. I did kind of like the defensive route just to let him sustain a little bit longer and allow Truth to be that hyper carry. But Gatsby is just, he's doing really good on his positioning in these fights, and Hyde is doing a great job helping protect him as well.
He's doing a good job, but they cannot find the fights that they've just so happened to stumble across over the last few minutes. They've been doing such a fantastic job, and in fact, this might be a backdoor attempt. I think it is. Truth is going for the back door here. They need to be able to stop Lost Boy Toph, who's running to the base as well. They know exactly what's going on. They're going to chase Gatsby. The recall comes off for Hyde, but he's already on the crystal. Hyde is going to be there. He's got a lot of burst damage. He has to find the 1v1 of the sentry. I don't think Truth can do it. Big red button's going to get unleashed. Hyde actually falls. Truth, rocket leaps in. He's actually done it. Nova, they can't. No, sorry. TempoStorm, they can't get the recalls off. Truth is just going to get the back door. Gatsby gets the kill, but Truth just ends the game. Cheeky recall, but Nova take 2 games off of TempoStorm, and we'll see them tomorrow.
It was incredibly lucky for Truth that Hyde turned back into the big red button. He had his boots available, could have boots around that turret, got the kill, and Tempo could have looked to win the game off that one. Jaws, that should have been Tempo's game to win.
Should have been their game to win, but Truth with a full glass cannon build managed to scrape the victory by with the sick backdoor. We'll jump it over to the analyst desk for one more time, and they'll break that series down a little bit more.
Well, you definitely cannot hide from the truth. Face full of cannon right there. Finishes off the game. Beautiful stuff coming out from Truth there. Absolute highlight play of the entire day from both regions. Incredible stuff. Once again, Truth of Light proving why he is known as this just absolute playmaker.
I don't even know where to begin with this. I mean, I'm taking my notes. They're gone. Like that. Where do we even start? Like, this is a full CP Jewel, no defense, no echo for some reason. Like, I don't understand why what this build just makes no sense to me, and somehow it gets a win.
I mean, here's the thing. The big red button, Jules' ultimate, has, once it's maxed out level 3, has 2,200 base damage, and it has 460% ratio scaling on it. So with the 3 shatter glasses, with the broken myth, and with the clockwork, he was easily doing over 5,000 worth of damage every time he was using it. And the
it's not that long of a cooldown.
The highest health pool was like 2,250, which was Gray's on the side of TempoStorm.
Yeah, just unbelievable the amount of damage that ultimate can do. And I mean, let's get into the replays. We're starting around 20 minutes into this game, and it was in fact Tempo that were ahead for a lot of this game actually, but this was Nova with a lead.
Yeah, I mean, this was when Nova, it was looking dominant for them. They were so far ahead, but then it was, I mean, these big red buttons, if they didn't hit, it was almost devastating for them, and you can see exactly what it ends up causing. Like, Truth just throws out a big red button. If it doesn't connect, he has no impact on the fight. That's why I would have loved to have seen, take one of those shatter glasses. That's 150 crystal power. That's, you know, obviously, yes, in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot on the scaling, but you make that an echo instead, and all of a sudden, instead of doing, you know, 90% of someone's health with one big red button, you do maybe 70% of their health, but you do it twice. And so it doesn't make sense that he didn't go for an echo. Hey, luckily worked out for him, but it was luckily.
You can't criticize them too hard when they actually won the game in the end. The next replay, around 22 minutes now. I have to ask you guys, what on earth was happening for Nova right here? It felt like they kept on just feeding into the enemy team one by one by one.
Yeah, I mean, this is when they started losing a few kills here and there because they tried to go for a play here, but the aftermarket coming from Hyde was very precisely
styled on him.
Yeah, really predicted the Lancer coming out. So they pick up the kill, then Krul goes in. CP Idris is full build and he's late game at this point, so he's doing a lot of damage too. I feel like if TempoStorm had just engaged on the Jewel and they were able to close the gap, focus her down, she would have died so incredibly quickly because he doesn't have any defense. He's full offensive build.
Yeah, he's full offense is definitely the definition of how that build went out. Let's take a look at the end of the game. This was a beautiful backdoor, Truth of Light, definitely the one to try and pull this one off. We've seen dual backdoors before coming on through, and really nicely played by the rest of his team as well.
And it was a great play by Hyde in order to get the recall off to run to his spot where he wouldn't be stopped. But then, just again, he has the chance. One hit is all he needs. He's 1 second from having his afterburn, but he gets too greedy for it and doesn't get out of the big red button. He started up the afterburn at the end there, but it was just too late because he took so much damage. And it's just, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words on this game. Like, this was just bizarro land all across the board.
TempoStorm actually might have been able to win that game there had he been able to kill Jewel. And he could have easily walked out of the ultimate and then used his afterburn afterwards, but he got greedy, like you said, Tasty Bacon. And I say they could have won because Idris on the other side of the map was able to kill Krul. So had they gotten those 2 kills, they might have been able to close out the game and take the series to game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge amount of pressure in that kind of moment, though. Didn't live up to the expectation. Truth to Light did, however, and he's going to be our MVP coming out of that series. Even if it's just for that last game alone, I'm nominating him for that final play. Wins the game there and will be able to grab that one for himself. 6 average kills, 94% almost kill participation. Excellent stats across the board coming out for Truth.
Yeah, and again, this was a matchup that Nova needed to win in order to stay in that hunt for second place. And for the side of TempoStorm, You know, there were signs of life for them in this game, but this was a game that they should not have lost because of the way that the builds came out, because of the way this game was played down the stretch. They really shouldn't have lost this game. This one's going to sting.
Yeah, I mean, and now Nova are going to be able to move on to the semifinals. The team they're going to be going up against, I'm sure they're not going to be planning for the CP Jewel or the CP Samuel lane, just because those picks were more about learning, more about experimenting, and just having fun versus TempoStorms.